Throughout history, countless cultures and religions have tried to understand what happens after we die. From ancient spiritual traditions to modern scientific research, the question persists: what awaits us when we cross that final threshold? Let's delve into fascinating accounts and studies on near-death experiences, or NDEs. These experiences, reported by people who have been clinically dead and then revived, offer us a unique and profound glimpse into what might lie beyond our physical lives. We'll also explore how these events transform the perception of those who experience them, forever changing their views on existence and death. The fear of death. The fear of death is a universal emotion, present in all cultures and eras, and it can be broken down into four main causes: pain and loneliness, the unknown, the loss of the material world, and the instinct for self-preservation. Many people associate death with physical pain and suffering, especially in terminal illnesses, as well as the experience of dying alone. The uncertainty about what happens after death generates considerable anxiety. In a materialistic society, death represents the loss of possessions, relationships, and achievements. Finally, the desire to survive is one of the most powerful forces in all living beings. These factors contribute to the fear we feel when facing death. However, by exploring NDEs and the concept of a higher consciousness, we can find new perspectives that help us face death with less fear and more understanding. Near-death experiences, NDEs. NDEs are phenomena reported by people who have been on the verge of death or have been declared clinically dead before being revived. These experiences, though varied in detail, share common characteristics documented in numerous studies and personal accounts. NDEs offer a fascinating and often transformative vision of what might lie beyond our physical lives. A common element is the feeling of separation from the body, where people describe their consciousness rising and being able to observe the scene from an elevated perspective with surprising mental clarity and an absence of pain. Also common is the journey through a dark tunnel towards a brilliant light that emanates a sense of unconditional peace and love. During these experiences, many report encountering beings of light or comforting figures, identified as spiritual guides, angels, or deceased loved ones. Furthermore, many people report having a life review, where every action, thought, and feeling is reviewed. This review is not a judgment, but an opportunity to understand the impact of their actions. NDEs are often accompanied by an overwhelming sense of peace and love. People describe feelings of harmony and joy that surpass anything they have experienced in physical life, and many do not want to return to their physical body. However, they are often urged to return by the beings of light or spiritual guides because their time on Earth is not yet over and they have missions or tasks pending. An interesting aspect of NDEs is the personal transformation that often follows. Those who have had an NDE usually return with a profoundly altered life perspective, with a total loss of the fear of death and a renewed sense of purpose and meaning in their lives. They become more empathetic, compassionate, and focused on human relationships and the well-being of others. This change can be so profound that it affects not only the person who had the NDE but also their family and friends. NDEs also pose intriguing questions for science and medicine. How is it possible for people to have these vivid and coherent experiences while their brains are clinically dead? What do these experiences tell us about the nature of consciousness? Researchers like Bruce Grayson and Eben Alexander have dedicated years to studying these phenomena, providing a growing body of evidence that suggests consciousness may exist independently of the physical brain. Astonishing cases and impactful evidence. NDEs not only provide fascinating accounts of what might lie beyond physical life, but also present impactful evidence that challenges our current understanding of consciousness and existence. Below, we explore some of the most amazing cases and the evidence that has left a significant mark on NDE research. One of the most extraordinary cases is that of John, a man blind from birth who suffered a serious traffic accident. During his NDE, John could see for the first time in his life. While his body lay in the emergency room, his consciousness rose, and he was able to observe the scene from above, describing with astonishing precision the details of the medical equipment, the room, and the faces of the doctors and nurses. Upon being revived and waking up, his sight disappeared, but the memory of what he had seen remained clear and vivid. This case suggests that the ability to see is not limited solely to the physical eyes, but that there is an inherent capacity in consciousness that can perceive the world in ways we do not yet fully understand. Another notable case is that of Mary, a woman who suffered a cardiac arrest while at home. During her NDE, she found herself floating outside her body and observed the paramedics arriving and beginning to resuscitate her. What makes her story especially impressive is that while she was out of her body, Mary noticed a red shoe on the windowsill of the hospital where her body was later taken. Upon being revived and recounting her experience, she described the shoe with precise details, which led the surprised doctors and nurses to search for and, indeed, find the shoe in the exact place she had mentioned. Cases like this provide powerful evidence that consciousness can exist independently of the physical body and can perceive events and objects in places where physical vision is impossible. Pam Reynolds, a well-known American singer, underwent one of the most medically documented NDEs in 1991. Pam underwent surgery to remove a brain aneurysm. During the operation, her body was cooled to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, her heart and brain were stopped, and the blood was drained from her head. During this time, Pam should not have had any brain activity. However, she later described how she separated from her body and watched the operation from above. She was able to describe specific details of the surgical equipment and the conversations that took place while she was clinically dead. The doctors who attended her confirmed the accuracy of her descriptions, which has led many to reconsider the nature of consciousness and its relationship with the brain. Dr. Eben Alexander, a Harvard neurosurgeon, was a staunch skeptic of NDEs until he had his own experience in 2008. Alexander fell into a coma due to severe bacterial meningitis. During his coma, he experienced an NDE in which he found himself in a place of indescribable beauty and peace. He saw beings of light, felt immense love, and received profound knowledge about the universe and consciousness. Upon waking, his experience challenged everything he had learned as a scientist. His full recovery was considered a medical miracle, and since then, he has dedicated his life to researching and speaking about consciousness and life after death. His book, Proof of Heaven, has become a bestseller and has inspired millions to reconsider their beliefs about death. Superconsciousness and the continuity of life. The idea that our consciousness continues after death suggests that our essence does not disappear with physical death but persists in another form. Superconsciousness, an independent and eternal form of consciousness, goes beyond the physical mind and body. During near-death experiences, NDEs, people often feel a separation from the body and a state of expanded consciousness with mental clarity and encounters with beings of light. These experiences suggest a connection with a universal or divine consciousness. Superconsciousness implies that death is a transition to another state of being, alleviating the fear of death. It also suggests a connection with a universal consciousness, inspiring empathy and compassion, and challenges the materialistic view by suggesting that consciousness can exist independently of the brain. Profound transformations after NDEs. NDEs not only offer glimpses of what might lie beyond physical life, but also trigger profound and lasting transformations in those who experience them. These experiences can radically change a person's life perspective, instill a new sense of purpose and meaning, and trigger a spiritual awakening that redefines their existence. One of the most notable transformations is the total loss of the fear of death. After an NDE, many describe a tranquility and acceptance towards death, understanding that it is not an abrupt end but a transition to another form of existence. This new perception not only reduces the fear of death, but also allows them to live with a freedom and inner peace they previously unknown. Another significant transformation is the increase in empathy and compassion. People who have had an NDE often return with a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. They have experienced unconditional love and acceptance during their NDE, which motivates them to treat others with greater kindness and understanding. This change is reflected in their daily lives, where they become more attentive and generous, striving to help others and contribute positively to the community. The compassion they feel is not limited to human beings but extends to all living beings and the planet itself. Renewed sense of purpose and mission. Many people who have had a near-death experience, NDE, describe a renewed sense of purpose and mission in their life. During their experience, they often receive messages or revelations about their purpose in life and the tasks they still need to accomplish. This drives them to make significant changes in their careers, relationships, and lifestyles. For example, some may dedicate themselves to helping professions such as medicine or social work, while others focus on environmental or humanitarian causes. This sense of mission provides them with a clear direction and a deep sense of personal satisfaction. Spiritual awakening. The spiritual awakening is perhaps one of the most profound transformations resulting from an NDE. These experiences often provide people with a direct sense of the divine and an understanding of their connection to a universal consciousness. This awakening does not always translate into adherence to a specific religion, but into a broader and more personal spirituality. Individuals feel a deeper connection with the universe and a sense of belonging to something much larger than themselves. This spiritual awakening often leads them to explore spiritual practices such as meditation, yoga, or prayer, and to seek a more conscious and meaningful life. NDEs can also radically change a person's perception of life and reality. Those who have had these experiences often report a sense that life is much richer and more meaningful than they had previously perceived. They describe a greater appreciation for the small details of daily life, and a new ability to live in the present moment. This change in perception can lead to a fuller and more satisfying life, where experiences and relationships are valued more than material possessions and superficial achievements. The transformations resulting from an NDE also profoundly affect personal relationships. Individuals return with a greater appreciation for their loved ones and a new willingness to forgive and resolve conflicts. They become more open and communicative, seeking to build more honest and meaningful relationships. This change not only improves their personal well-being but also strengthens family and friendship ties, creating a more loving and harmonious environment in their social circle. Living with greater intuition and wisdom. People who have experienced an NDE often describe an increase in their intuition and wisdom. The connection with the superconsciousness during their experience provides them with a clearer and deeper insight into life. This intuition guides them in their daily decisions, allowing them to live in a way that they feel is more aligned with their true purpose. They become more receptive to the signs and synchronicities of the universe, trusting that they are being guided by a higher intelligence. The interconnection of all life. During an NDE, many people experience a sense of unity with the universe, describing a deep and loving connection with all forms of life. This feeling of interconnection suggests that our actions and thoughts have repercussions that go beyond our individual lives, affecting the entire fabric of existence. This vision of interconnection has profound moral implications. It leads us to consider the importance of living consciously and responsibly, recognizing that every action has an impact on the whole. The idea that we are intrinsically connected to a universal consciousness inspires us to practice compassion, empathy, and altruism, understanding that the well-being of others is intimately linked to our own. Death as transformation, not an end. NDEs also invite us to reconsider our perception of death. Instead of seeing it as an abrupt and definitive end, these experiences suggest that death is a transition, a step towards another form of existence. This perspective not only alleviates the fear of death but also transforms our relationship with life. If death is simply a door to another dimension of being, then life can be seen as an opportunity for the growth and evolution of consciousness. This idea of death as a transformation is present in many spiritual traditions. In ancient Egypt, for example, death was seen as a journey to the afterlife, where the soul continued its existence in a different realm. In Buddhism, Death is part of the cycle of rebirth and reincarnation, a continuous process of learning and spiritual development. These perspectives invite us to embrace life with a sense of purpose and mission, knowing that each experience is an opportunity to advance on our spiritual path. The search for meaning and purpose. Finally, NDEs and superconsciousness impel us to seek a deeper meaning and purpose in our lives. By confronting the possibility of a life after death, we are forced to consider what truly matters and what gives meaning to our existence. This process of reflection can lead to a personal and spiritual transformation, where we seek to live in accordance with our deepest and most authentic values. Those who have had these experiences report receiving messages or visions that reveal the tasks or missions they still need to accomplish. This sense of purpose not only provides them with a clear direction but also infuses them with a deep sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. For many, this purpose translates into significant changes in their lives. Some may change careers, moving towards helping professions such as medicine, social work, or education, where they feel they can make a real difference in the lives of others. Others may dedicate themselves to humanitarian or environmental causes, driven by a desire to contribute to the well-being of the planet and its inhabitants. This sense of mission and purpose gives their lives a new dimension of meaning and value. Living in the present. One of the most powerful lessons from NDEs is the importance of living in the present moment. People who have gone through these experiences often describe a shift in their perception of time and a greater appreciation for every moment of life. This focus on the present allows them to more fully enjoy the small joys of daily life and develop greater resilience in the face of challenges. Living in the present also means being more conscious and attentive to our actions and decisions. By recognizing that every moment is precious, we can make more informed and conscious choices that reflect our values and priorities. This mindfulness not only improves our quality of life but also helps us build stronger and more meaningful relationships with others. Cultivating meaningful relationships. The personal transformations resulting from NDEs also include a renewed focus on human relationships. People who have had an NDE often return with a greater appreciation for their loved ones and a willingness to forgive and resolve conflicts. They become more open and communicative, seeking to build relationships based on honesty, love, and mutual respect. These meaningful relationships not only enrich our lives but also provide us with a sense of belonging and connection. By nurturing our relationships with empathy and compassion, we create a supportive and loving environment that benefits both ourselves and others. This network of meaningful relationships becomes a constant source of strength and joy. Practicing gratitude. Gratitude is another fundamental aspect of living with purpose and meaning. People who have experienced NDEs often develop a profound gratitude for life and everything it contains. This gratitude extends beyond great achievements and moments of success, also encompassing everyday experiences and simple but significant interactions. Practicing gratitude helps us maintain a positive perspective and recognize the value of every moment. It allows us to focus on what we have instead of what we lack, fostering a sense of abundance and fulfillment. By regularly expressing gratitude, we can transform our way of seeing the world and relating to others. Exploring life after death and connecting with our higher consciousness shows us that death is not the end, but a transition to a higher state of existence. By understanding this, we can live with greater gratitude, empathy, and purpose, knowing that our actions have a lasting impact. If this topic has resonated with you, we invite you to check out our playlist on spirituality for more content like this. Stay tuned for the next video in this series, which will appear on your screen shortly. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Mind and Heart in Harmony. Give this video a like, and share it with your friends. Now we'd love to hear from you. How has thinking about the continuity of consciousness changed your life? What experiences have touched your heart and made you feel a deeper connection with the spiritual? Share your stories in the comments, and together we can learn and grow on this journey into the unknown.